when I become supreme ruler of this world, I am going to make men admit to us that it's not that they don't know what we are attracted to. It is that every time we open our mouths to talk about what we are attracted to, they close their ears. Because there's no way you don't get it. There's no way you can't get it after all this time. Hello, lovers, and welcome to Starring Cupid, the only podcast where the Venn diagram of cinephiles and people that couldn't get a date for today intersect. I am your host, as always, Zama.x, nothing more, nothing less, from the east, not the west, the Jungle Fever unit ness. And yeah, guys, happy Valentine's Day, lovers. Tis the season. Well, love is in season all year round, so there's no actual time for it. We just have a day marked for it, which is nice, which is lovely. I think a lot of people think, because of the subject matter of my show, that I am like a big romantic person, and I am a huge supporter and lover of love and romance, but I have my conditions. My conditions are the romantic part. Like, a lot of people like to confuse just being in any old relationship as romantic love. And some of you, unfortunately, you are not in a romantic relationship. I don't know what to tell you. If you think that just because of my stance and everything and what I do, that I will support anything, any old relationship that's out there, I want you to know, if you're not doing anything romantic for the people that I love, I am in the group chat and I am yelling to my friends, "Oh, brother, this guy stinks!" The romance, the love, very important ingredient. Otherwise, what the heck are we doing here? And so obviously I had to pop out and give you guys an episode, mostly because this is our first visual proper episode, but then it coincides with the holiday, and so I thought I'd go big and I'd go all out for you guys and cover not one but two couples for this episode in a not competitive manner. It is a versus, definitely, but when I was thinking about this episode, I was thinking about these two movies, these two characters. I was like, your stories are very much alike. Your stories are almost the exact same. And I would like to dive deeper into that, because even though your stories are the exact same, I think the love stories that exist in them are vastly different, or at least too different to put under the same umbrella. Lovers, today, why am I smiling? Sorry. Today, our Valentine's special episode is a versus between Tarzan and George of the Jungle. Now, I love these movies. Sorry. I love these movies. Particularly, I love these men. I'm going to say it. I watched Tarzan at the age-appropriate time. I watched it on television, I'm not sure, but yes, I watched it at a very impressionable age, and then shortly after I also saw George of the Jungle, not noting the similarities between them at the time, because again, 6, 7, 8 years old, I don't know how old I was, but around that time, you're not thinking about these things. You just see very gorgeous rippling muscled dudes on screen swinging from vine to vine, and you're like, hell yeah, that's great, love it. But I am also interested in them genuinely because of their love stories. I think their love stories are very cute, very, I was going to say fantastical, as in they are the fantasy, but that would be getting into something that I'm going to touch on later, so I'm not going to elaborate on it now. But yes, and I think they just, even to this day, have a lot of things that I think modern audiences have not considered, or at least in the circles that I'm in, no one's ever talked about them. But then again, I exist as a platform because I don't think a lot of people talk about romantic films in general. So here I am to play the savior, Cupid's servant, here for you today. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to try and incorporate visuals into this. I hope I don't get copyright stricken because, as all of us know, the mouse is very strict about his properties. The mouse does not play. So we'll see how many visuals actually make it to the final cut. With that being said, let's turn our eyes to the wonderful Jane and Tarzan versus the cutesy wootsy Ursula and George. We will start off with Tarzan, which is the animated movie selection in this versus. It was made in 1999, directed by Chris Buck and Kevin Lima. Some of you might recognize the name Chris Buck because he is behind animated films like Frozen 1 and 2, Surf's Up, which is one of my favorites of all time, and the latest addition to the Disney Princess world, Wish. Kevin Lima is not far behind him in his offerings to the cinematic world. He is behind movies such as Enchanted, which I love, and a Goofy movie, which I love. Very skilled filmmakers, very accomplished filmmakers in my right, definitely under the mouse's house. And I think that they brought that energy and that enthusiasm to this film. As much as Tarzan fits under like that classical era of Disney animated films, he's not in the princess realm because Jane is just a person and he's the king of the jungle, doesn't count in the monarchy of the Disney world. So I'm glad that they were able to make it their own kind of thing, far away from the Disney story or like the plot lines that we're used to, while also giving us a completely different version of Tarzan that is completely, not completely, but a healthy distance away from the original books. Now, if you didn't know this, Tarzan is adapted from a series of books written by Edgar Rice Burroughs, who started the series in 1912. Now, here is where things get nasty. So, I think I was 16 when I posted something about how much I love Tarzan, and my older brother, in the way that older siblings do, told me, "Hey, do you know that this thing is absolutely racist?" I'm like, "What do you mean? How could you say that about my man?" You know, just in total denial because I was again 16. But it's true. It's true. If you just graze over all of the things that the books by Burroughs cover, it's not looking good. There's a lot of, I'm going to say, white supremacist ideas just around the fact that Tarzan is meant to be this figure that is dropped into the middle of Africa, raised by the gorillas, the story that we know, and somehow he climbs up the ladder of the family, like patriarchal system that they have, to the point where he leads the group of gorillas that raised him. Now, some of you might think, yeah, that he just got that dog in him, that doesn't matter. I want you to stop and pause. A white man is dropped in the middle of Africa, and despite being absolutely outclassed and outranked by the native people of where he lands, he somehow rises above them all to become their true leader and protector. Does that not sound familiar to you at all? And I'm laughing because when the realization hit me it hit me before I did this research, because after my brother's little comment, I realized, I'm like, hey, it is kind of strange that Tarzan exists in the middle of Africa and there's nary a mention of black people. Which I would later find out that in Burroughs' books, Tarzan would often the Africans that he came across in the thing. And I never understood that, because if anyone was a danger to him and his family, it would be the white people that arrived on the boats. But apparently, he had never a problem with them. So do with that information what you will. I think it's important to, even though it's been years now, it's been 27 years since this movie dropped, the children, or like the audience that saw it, did not have these supremacist ideas in mind. Even, I think I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say the directors and the writers of this movie did not have any of these ideas in mind. It is still important to acknowledge that sometimes the source material that we are adapting from was created by a monster. Because if you completely erase that, like if they tried to pretend that Burroughs' intentions did not exist, then you are twisting the history of something. Just because the origins or the intentions of a source material were evil and horrible does not mean that you just glaze over them in order to present us with this new woker version that you are serving us. That history still exists, and because the danger of glazing over it and ignoring it is that somebody will watch this movie, already have evil in their hearts, or like just have be very vulnerable to people that are willing to plant the evil in their hearts, and then they decide to regurgitate this message and now tell other people. They're like, well, if Tarzan can do it, bring civilization to a family that previously was savage and unclassy. If we don't know the history that things come from, we are literally doomed to repeat it or regurgitate it as something that is new. You need to know the origins of things to make sure that you are not falling into the traps of the creators of that thing. Ignoring it, glazing over it, does not stop it from being what it used to be. It just makes you seem ignorant, because everybody wants to believe that things are not that deep or things are not that serious, and we are going to be in trouble if this continues. So if me, a person that absolutely loves this movie, absolutely loves this character, is able to find out all of this information and still find a way to like appreciate this for what it is without ignoring the dark stuff, then you should be able to too. Actually, no, you should do that. You should do that. But yeah, otherwise, great film, guys. I genuinely think it's an amazing animated film. I watched a DVD behind the scenes type segment where they were explaining about the animation of everything, where all of the backdrops that you see are hand painted by artists, and then obviously the characters and their movements are hand drawn. It was still in the era where they were doing hand drawn animation, and you can see it in like the details and the style of which these characters are drawn. But then they had to develop a new 3D technology to animate the way that Tarzan, basically the way he swings through vines, or like the way that he slides over the branches. I say surfing because it is very much the physical style of surfing. They developed technology to make that happen, like new technology in 1999. That was unheard of at the time. We always hear these stories of Disney animators creating a new machine or a new programming or a new style to better animate something that they previously could not do. And I just think that's amazing. The innovation working together with the hand-drawn animation of it all. It's just very beautiful, and it speaks to the human spirit and the beauty that we would lose if we decided that animation is not important enough to be a human man-made art and could otherwise just be quicker and easier if it was thrown through a machine. Because first of all, that is not true. Secondly, it would not look this good. There are a lot of problems with generative AI. There's a lot of problems with people trying to put generative AI into films. And someone smarter than me will write an essay about it or make a video about it. I will find some and link them to this video as well. But I also want to remind you all, we would not get even 30% of the beauty that you see in a film like this if it was not made by people. Don't forget that, please. On to the cast of Tarzan. Starting us off, we have Minnie Driver playing Jane Porter. Many of you will know Minnie Driver from projects such as Good Will Hunting, Goldeneye, Ella Enchanted, Rosaline, and many others. I really appreciated her performance in this film. I know she doesn't have lots of voice acting under her belt. I think this was her first voice acting gig. She brings a very lively animated energy into this that I think was very much appreciated, especially when you remember the fact that everything happening to Jane in this movie is genuinely the most terrifying, shocking thing that you can imagine. Like the concept of you are in the wild, you only anticipate meeting wild animals, and you come across a fully grown man who kind of is an animal. A lot of it is bizarre, and I really appreciate Driver for bringing that genuine reaction into it with her voice acting. She's also incredibly funny. I think most of the roles she does are like leaning on the serious side, but if you ever caught her in a romantic comedy role, she is genuinely so funny, and she brings that humor into Jane. Like there is the humor being brought by the characters Turk and Tantor, who are like our resident Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of the story, but a lot of the humor is also coming from Jane and her father. Most hilarious bits about this movie, and I think that I chalk that up to Driver's performance, so well done. And then alongside her we have Tony Goldwyn, who is the voice of Tarzan. Many of you are familiar with Goldwyn because of Scandal, but he has been in many projects such as Ghost, King Richard, Divergent, Oppenheimer, and the list is quite long, which you would expect from somebody whose family literally owned MGM. Well, not anymore, but you know, like he's been around. He's done a couple of things. He is fine. He's a very fine man. I have nothing appropriate to say. I will say that as much as I did enjoy his voice acting here, especially because he takes note of the fact that, okay, to us as the audience, there is lots of time where Tarzan is communicating with his family, the gorillas in his family, and also Tantor, like the animals in general. There's a lot of time he spends talking to them, and to us, the audience, it is translated into English. You must always remember that they are not actually speaking English. So when he meets Jane and her father and Clayton, the way he speaks with them is the speech pattern you would expect from somebody that is speaking or learning English for the first time, like as he goes. So I do really enjoy Golden's performance in portraying that. That was very good. I just wish he didn't sound so stoic, you know, like I don't want to say he wasn't as expressive as I would like, because I don't know what the directors were in there telling him, but I do like when you have that performance next to drivers, it did leave me wanting like I would have liked you to remember that you're in an animated film type beat. But great performance, especially for the thing that I said earlier. So there's one note, otherwise I have no notes. Honorable mentions, stacked cast amongst us. Namely, and most importantly, we have Glenn Close, who plays Carla, who is Tarzan's mother. And man, what a woman. What an actress. She really got me going. I know there are some people that have cried watching Tarzan, especially that opening sequence where you see the backstory and you also learn about how Carla lost her child to the leopard. And Glenn Close is amazing. that is going to be true in whatever movie we're talking about, at least for me, the ones I've seen. But chef's kiss, amazing. We also have Rosie O'Donnell, Wayne Knight, Brian Blessed, and I want to pause with Brian because I don't know if this is evil association. I always thought that Clayton was voiced by a man called John Rice Davis, who, I'll put up his picture, but if you don't know who that is, if you've ever watched Princess Diaries 2, he is the evil uncle that is trying to make sure that Mia gets dethroned. I genuinely think this is my bias showing because he seems like an evil man. He also has like evil man voice. I don't know, maybe it's because I watched those two movies around the same age, and so my brain made that association. But it wasn't until I researched the movie for this podcast that I was like, oh, it's not? Oh, not bad. I'm so sorry to Mr. Blessed. He did a great job. I'm not saying he isn't good, and that's why I mistook him for somebody else. It's just, I don't know, bias. I don't know. On to the plot. I'm trying to think of how I can say this to make it sound different from George, because I promise they are different stories, but they're just so the same. Anyway, Tarzan is about a white baby boy who is stranded in the middle of the jungle when his parents are murdered by a leopard, and he is adopted into a gorilla family and raised as their own. As he reaches maturity, he discovers that he is in fact not alone, and there are people just like him, and those discoveries and that journey of self-identity takes him on the wildest ride of his life, to say the least. I should mention that from this point onwards, spoilers all around. I don't know how some of you have not seen a 27-year-old movie, but if you haven't and you actually genuinely do want to see it anytime soon, this is pause. Stop it, break. That's the most I can tell you. Then we switch right on over to George of the Jungle, which was made in 1997, directed by Sam Wiseman. I'm not familiar with Sam Wiseman's filmography. I only know Out of Towners, and even then I had never seen it. I know about it. And he doesn't seem to have really made that many movies since, but I think he did a wonderful job. This is, I don't know if all of you have seen the live action Flintstones movies. It has the same energy as that, like someone who is clearly a fan of the source material, the cartoon, and decided to like make sure that spirit and energy is present in the live action adaptation of the thing, and I really do appreciate that. I do also chalk this up to the writers of the movie, which is Dana Olson and Audrey Wells. Audrey Wells had written Shall We Dance, which is one of my household's like favorite movies, so if that was the only thing she had ever done, she would be protected and coveted in my heart. But yeah, I think it was a team effort to really bring the cartoonish energy of the story together and make sure it works, because I know a lot of movies from late 90s, early 2000s have particularly not aged well, especially with a movie like this that is aiming to like be meta with its humor. A lot of the things, the jokes in it actually stand up today. I found myself laughing a lot. I think it's because you expect the ridiculousness, they deliver the ridiculousness, so it allows you as well as the audience like to just let go and have this good time that you're having. I'm not saying it's a perfectly aged film, like don't quote me on that, but it is, considering the time, it is not as bad as you would think it can be. Now, at this point is when I should mention that while George of the Jungle is a parody of Tarzan, or like the Tarzan books, the cartoon came out in 1967. The film they decided to adapt in 1997. All my life, I thought that Tarzan came before it. I think it's because in my mind, George of the Jungle looks like a very early 2000s film to me. To me, it looks very much like a early 2000s movie, but apparently it is not. And I don't know how to, it feels like, sorry, I'm not saying anything. It feels like a circle, a complete circle. It feels like the books are created in 1912. The cartoon is made in 1967, parodying the books. The movie is made in 1997. It inspires the filmmakers at the Mouse House to make not live action, a animated adaptation of the Tarzan books. But it so perfectly aligns with the live action George of the Jungle book. It kind of makes you think, did they copy and then it just becomes a circle, because then all of the inspiration and the plot points and everything is just in this one circle, and it's just two stories chasing each other around. Isn't that strange? And it's very particular to these two movies, because you should know that there are two other modern Tarzan movies. One was made in 2013 and it's animated one. Live action one was made in 2016 with Alexander Skarsgård as Tarzan. They're not good. That is me putting it very lightly. They are not good. And a lot of people agree with me on that matter with the live action one. So someone left the circle, because this was actually going very, very well. It's very funny to me that the parody now in a way inspired the original. Don't know how that works. Onto the cast. In our love interest chair, we have Leslie Mann playing Ursula Stanhope. Many of you are familiar with Mann's work, especially her comedic work in movies like This Is 40, Blockers, The Other Women, Rio 1 and 2, Knocked Up, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and the list continues. I like Mann's movies, I really do. I like the characters she usually is portraying. There are times where it starts to feel like they've got her in this stereotypical role, and it just keeps going, and then she breaks out of it every so often, and every time she breaks out of it you realize, oh, she is still funny. Like, she doesn't have to be the mom every single time. Like, she can be really funny and really good wherever you put her. I think my favorite movie of hers, I don't know if this is a quality thing or if it's because I've watched it the most, I really love The Other Women. It's one of the funniest modern rom-coms that we have, and also she's just really fantastic in it. So yeah, I think she brought that lovely charismatic energy and comedy to this. It's a bit more understated comedy in this movie, and I think that's fine, because I guess it's what her character called for. Like, all of the humor and ridiculousness is mainly coming from George and like the circumstances of the situation, so it's fine that she's kind of toned down in this one, but nonetheless still really good work. And then right alongside her we have Brendan Fraser as George of the Jungle. Many of you are familiar with Fraser's work. He's a very famous actor. He has been in projects like the Mummy franchise, The Whale, the Killers of Flower Moon. He was in Looney Tunes Back in Action, which is my underestimated favorite in his filmography, Inkheart, and the list truly goes on. I love Brendan Fraser, and that's the most I can say before it gets inappropriate. But I will say one more thing that I will say is that I think it's kind of wild that he has this movie and also his role as Rick O'Connell in Thingy in the Mummy movies. He was not giving us a chance. I could have tried to like ignore him or like tried to be normal about him, but it's too much. It's just too much to deny this man. I will say another thing, technically not about him, but like about his situation in this movie. It does make me sad every time I watch this movie because I do remember him speaking about basically like the physical torture of trying to maintain the physique that he had at the time for this movie. He was kind of doing that thing. I think Marvel heroes, actors that have been in Marvel movies have spoken about this thing where you basically kind of dehydrate your body because then it makes your skin tight and then the muscles pop. Hugh Jackman explained it very well in one interview, but he was saying it in kind of this is the work I do to look good for y'all. Brendan Fraser sounded like he had been tortured, and I really don't like that. I think that no one should have to endure any physical pain or discomfort in order to look aesthetically attractive, especially for one role. In general, I don't think they should, like, everyone should just do what feels very comfortable for them. I don't want anyone to endure pain to look a certain way. I don't think anyone should, especially if you remember that The Mummy and George of the Jungle came out 2 years apart. The Mummy was 99, 97. Everybody that is in love with Rick is in love with him in general, but also aesthetically, like they think he looks hot. And that physique kind of makes sense for somebody that is living in the jungle, has never tasted a hamburger in their life. So I never understood why they even put him in that situation in order for him to look like that. It was very unnecessary. And I hope he is able to look back fondly on this movie despite all of that, but I understand if you can't, because again, discomfort and pain is not worth it for anything. On to honorable mentions. It's a stacked cast once again. A special honorable mention to Thomas Hayden Church, who plays Lyle Vandergroot in this movie. He is meant to be a very annoying, it feels good to hate him, wimpy guy, and you root against him the entire film. And you do that. You do that because he is annoying and you do root against him. But at the same time, Thomas Hayden Church is just so lovely. He's so charming. Even like the humor that he was presenting to us, I was kind of like, it's very difficult to dislike you right now, but I will, just on principle. But like, you're doing a great job, sweetie. That's how I felt. Like, you're doing a great job. Alongside him, we unfortunately have John Cleese, who I will glaze over. We have Richard Roundtree, who I completely forgot was in this film. He plays the Kenyan guide Kwame. Lovely, lovely man. I almost forgot Holland Taylor. Holland Taylor's also in this, and she is lovely and evil. Love her down. Love her down. Great cast, stacked people that really just brought the funniest bits to this whole film and make it so enjoyable. Onto the plot, which is basically the same. White baby dropped in the middle of the jungle, except this time plane crash. Is raised by a group of gorillas, but instead of a mother figure, he is raised by his gorilla friend named Ape, because it doesn't make sense to call him Ape anyway. And he lives his life until one day he saves an American heiress by the name of Ursula and discovers that there's more to him than the life that he has always known as he falls deeper and deeper in love with this woman. Basically the same. Basically the same, and then chock full of ridiculous cartoonish energy. One thing I love about Brendan Fraser's casting in this is that he is, a lot of people have been talking about Muppet energy because the Muppet Show has returned and, well, been revived, and people are reminding us that there are only certain actors that could really work alongside the Muppets because you have to have the capacity to like meet them where they're at. I remember the Tumblr post is, you either treat the Muppets as fellow actors or you yourself become a Muppet. And so I think Brendan Fraser has that, except about cartoons. Like he works very, very well in situations that like require him to be absolutely ridiculous, almost cartoonish. Like Looney Tunes Back in Action is some of his best work, and I need everyone to watch that movie again and just focus on how well he works around the animated cast in that. Like he feels like he fits into the world, and he seems so genuine in it as well. Like there's no sense of, just an actor doing his job with him. It feels like he's having a grand old time doing this. Like he enjoys doing this. As much as these two stories and movies exist in their own worlds, I do think that there is enough of a link between them to break them down and discuss them. But at the same time, I just didn't want to have separate episodes dedicated to each person because I felt like I would just be repeating myself, and putting them against each other does also help me illustrate a few points that I need to make about connection and what is the prevalent thing in your story. Like are the relationships with other people the more important thing, or is it the relationship you have with yourself? Like what's the bigger picture in this picture, you know what I mean? And I'm also happy to do it because even before we get into the nitty-gritty of it all, I genuinely think these are very beautiful love stories. They're very aspirational, the both of them. And I know that some people see this, or like they watch these movies and they think that there is this like secret female fantasy about like being whisked away, taken over by a man that is like uncivilized or savage, like a monster, so to speak. And that's not, you're not getting it. So hopefully by the end of this episode, I would help anyone that believes that to see what it really is about. But before I yap on for too long, let's get straight into the meat of this episode. Let's discuss Tarzan and Urge. These are terrible ship names. I'm so sorry. When we discuss these two, I think it's very important that we remember that they are going through very different character arcs. Yeah. Or let's say they have different goals in mind. When we look at Tarzan, he is a person that is going through an identity crisis, because you must remember that up until an hour into this movie, and so from the time that he is a baby, he really believes that he is a part of his family, which means that he is a gorilla like them. The idea of that starts to distort when he meets Jane, but even then he kind of just chalks it up to the fact that they are like him but different. He does not see that he is the one that is not like the gorillas at all. And this is something that is happening to him the whole time. Like the whole time through the journey of learning, picking up this new language, through the journey of learning more about what humans can be like, both their good sides and their bad sides, and like the fact that you can't trust all of them. All of this time, what he is going through is an identity crisis. And so if you're dealing with something so very personal, it can happen that the romantic relationships that you want to form kind of take a backseat in all of this. Not to say that he did not care about Jane at all. That is deeply untrue. He loves Jane. He does love Jane. I think there's also for me as a viewer, I did think of this as like, I don't really know if you can feel genuine romantic love for the first human that you ever see. You know, like if we all think back to, as children, the first crushes you ever had, that was like the first time that you felt romantic feelings towards another person. Some people worked out well for them, but they are in the very, 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 very small minority. A lot of us completely moved on from that. Some of us don't even remember who was the first person we felt what we believed at the time to be genuine love and affection for. So there was lots of moments where I was kind of like, I don't really trust their relationship because of this dynamic. But then I had to check myself, because I was like, no, it's still the same, you know, like it's still, because by that if I used that argument, then people that fall in love through love at first sight aren't genuinely experiencing romantic love, because what you need for romantic love is to absolutely know this person, and you can get there. You should get there. You should eventually know who they are, like all about them, their character and whatnot. But you can arrive kind of already deeply mystified in love with somebody, and it's fine. And also because they both take the time to do the getting to know each other, unfolding, you know, and then they build upon this relationship that they have. It's just, in Tarzan's case, it's not the most important thing happening to him. So the story itself doesn't really emphasize this relationship it doesn't emphasize this relationship that they're developing. George, on the other hand, is kind of self-actualized. He might be the only person that's actualized, because he, like Tarzan, he truly believed that he was a gorilla. Even when he rescues Ursula, he doesn't think that Ursula is a human. He thinks that Ursula is another gorilla type man the way he is. Like, he doesn't even recognize her as a different gender to him, but as kind of the same thing, whatever it may be that he is, type of gorilla that he is. Yeah, so he, even when it is explained to him that, like, no, you are not an ape, you are a person, he doesn't dwell on it for very. I think George doesn't care. I think he doesn't care. I think he's just fine wherever he is. And so because he doesn't have that crisis to go through, the only thing he can really focus on, or like he has to focus on, is how he is beginning to feel about Ursula, because that is new. The romantic desire and feeling is new. He understands that it happens to people, because when he discusses this with Ape, he says, how do I make Ursula my mate? So he does know that, like, animals go through something like a romantic love in order to, like, be mate together and form their families. But this is different. Like, this is completely new to him, especially because Ursula herself is completely alien and new to him. But because he already likes her, he kind of likes everything about her. So even that is just, the story is now just the development of this entire relationship. And so by those metrics, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I think Ursula and George have the better relationship of the two. If this episode was indeed a competition, I would pick Urge. Yeah, I really don't like that ship name. And I made it up. They just they are in a story, in a film that facilitates good relationship growth and development. You know what I mean? It's not that what Jane and Tarzan have is less special or less romantic. It's just because of the kind of stories that they're in. One is better, in inverted commas, than the other. But that also doesn't stop me from talking about both of their stories the same. Because we have that power here on Starring Cupid. We can zero in on the romance part. Sorry to Tarzan and his identity crisis. That got nothing to do with me. We can zero in on the relationship part of it and say that there is stuff to admire. Part of the beauty of having these two stories that are quite similar to each other is that even their good parts are quite similar to each other. And we see this in the benefits of meeting these men have on Jane and Ursula individually. With Jane, you must remember that when she arrives to the jungle, she is I'm going to say 20th century, it might be 19th century, but she is a 20th century British woman who has probably lived a very sheltered life before this. Her father is a professor who researches animals, particularly this time with gorillas. So her reason for being on this trip in the first place is to just assist her father. She probably didn't even consider that anything like this could possibly happen to her. Her mind is not there. Like, she wasn't prepared for all of this. And the lovely thing about meeting somebody like Tarzan is that he is directly opposite to everything she would have known up to that point. You know, British politeness goes out of the window. Boundaries. She talks about how Tarzan doesn't respect boundaries, and it's because he hasn't been socialized to think about those things. So even fear. She was a person that hesitated a lot. Everything freaked out, rightfully so, because again, it is the wilderness and it is the jungle. He encourages her to just leap into it, do what she wants, choose the path of the fearless. And you can see in the story, she gradually does become more outspoken, more brave. Not to say that she was sitting down and keeping her mouth shut the whole time. We meet Jane as a woman that is already quite outspoken. I think taking this trip with her father was probably not proper at the time, but I think she's the only child. So if it wasn't her, then he would have gone alone, or he would have gone with anyone that would have accompanied him on this trip. So she is already kind of brave, she's already kind of outspoken, and she has this deep sense of duty to her family. All of these things are presented to us in the beginning, and I think it's part of the thing that attracts her to Tarzan, because he is kind of the same. He's deeply free in a way that she couldn't be free at the time, but he is free in his world, in the jungle where he lives. He is sworn to defend and protect his family. He has a sworn duty to his family, and they both share that. And then there's also the way that they meet, or at least the way that because their meet cute's chaotic. Imagine if Lois met Superman via being saved by him, but in a world where no one knows he even exists to begin with. So there have been no sightings. No one even is thinking about superheroes. And then one day Lois is in trouble and she just gets whisked out of the blue by this flying man. Like, it would freak anybody out. But in that moment, after that moment has passed, they meet each other at a mutual kind of curious plane, and that curiosity then feeds into what would become their relationship. In a similar way, you have Ursula, who is not so much sheltered as a 20th century British woman would be, but sheltered in the sense that she is a modern American girl who has lived a very high end life her entire life. She is an heiress. Her father owns a bank. Her mom kind of expects a very prim and proper life from her. Even her engagement to Lyle is kind of a social, arranged thing to make her presentable to society. And from the get-go, you can kind of see that Ursula is not comfortable with all of this, but she understands that this is basically what she has to do. As much as she doesn't want to marry Lyle or has no real affections towards Lyle, she doesn't do anything to get out of this situation because I don't think she knew she could. Enter a wild jungle man who saves her and also introduces her to bravery and also not being so worried about the opinions of others. He literally he's not trying. Also, he doesn't know that he's breaking a mold in her brain. He just thinks like, you should live the way that I live, which is I don't think about what people are saying about me or judging me on. I live freely. I do as I please as long as I am honoring myself and not hurting anybody. And it's a very simple message. It's delivered very simply because he's not thinking about the world in this. He's just thinking about, this is the way I live my life. I want to pass this on to this girl I just met. And it does help her a lot. It helps her let loose, relax. It helps her figure out how she truly feels about her engagement to Lyle, even before he does the terrible, awful things that he does. It helps her to stand up to her parents and be able to say, like, I don't want to do the thing that you guys want me to do. I want to. At that time, she's not even saying that she wants to be with George. She is simply saying that, like, I do not want to marry this man. I want to do things that I want to do, not the things that feel like I should be doing. Both of those ladies are being allowed to experience a freedom that they never thought possible for themselves, and that is kind of the benefit of a coupling that is good and healthy and welcoming. It is also worth noting that part of the thing that draws each couple together is that the men that they are after aren't raised like the men that are around them. They aren't socialized like the men around them. Like, back to that thing that I was saying earlier, where I was saying that someone could give a surface level reading of both of these stories and say that women are into wild men, savages. Not really. It's more about the socialization part. It's more about how these men act rather than what you think we find attractive about them. It is the fact that they do not have the patriarchy in mind. They do not have misogyny in mind. They are yearning for these women with no societal expectations or standards in their mind. They like them for who they are, who they present to be, and that's really it. There's the curiosity about it, and I think curiosity is very important because you are trying, at the end of the day, you're trying to get to know this person better. And if you're new to them as a concept, you did not know human beings before this, you are going to want to like dive deep into this person, figure them out. And also, we must note that it is also just about their romantic feelings towards them, because if for Tarzan all of it was just about, I need to figure out humans, he could have very easily just clung on to the professor, because he is as human as Jane is. He would have taught him all the same things that Jane had taught him. He literally is a professional teacher. But no, he wanted to go through this journey with Jane, specifically with Jane. And they share a lot of romantic, both couples share a lot of romantic moments together to kind of illustrate this. And my favorite from either one of them are actually my favorite bits of their individual movies. And now I will speak about them at length. So in Tarzan, there is a montage sequence with the song Strangers Like Me by Phil Collins playing in the background, where they are basically like going through like human history. They're showing them pictures of other people, they're teaching them about life, right? There is a point in this sequence where he is now teaching Jane how to swing from a vine, and obviously she's scared, but it's terrifying. It's like trapeze work, really. And she does it. He pushes her. She does it, and the first few seconds are terrifying, and then she relaxes and she enjoys it. Like she realizes what she's doing, and giddy happiness overwhelms her. And obviously Tarzan is very nearby throughout this whole thing, and he takes his vine closer to her. He entangles their vines together, and then they kind of like swivel around each other. Eye contact locked, deeply looking into each other's eyes. And then they share a moment that can only be described as intimate. If the mouse wasn't going to sue me, I would play you the clip. Please just go find it yourself, because I think about it often. It is embedded in my brain. And then you would think, oh, well, George of the Jungle doesn't have sentimental moments like that. You would be wrong, because in George of the Jungle, Ursula and George are sitting up in the treehouse, having had a lovely day just roaming around, and then the gorillas start playing a song called Della by Johnny Clegg. Yes, South Africans, that Johnny Clegg. It's a very nice song, actually. You should look it up. And he encourages Ursula to dance, and that's when she confesses that she feels a bit embarrassed, and then he tells her, like, dude, embarrassment is self-inflicted. You can be whoever you want to be, which is a very freeing statement, and I think she really needed to hear that. Anyway, they go down and they dance around the campfire. Nothing coordinated or anything, just freestyle, having a good time. But it's the moment itself is, I feel like I'm yelling, hold on. It's the moment itself that is just so cute, but like, yes, this is what it's about. This is the essence of what the relationship is about and what it can do for either person, and it's just very cute to watch. And I think about that scene often. That ties back to what I was saying earlier, which is that people have the wrong idea about why these characters are hot. It's things like this. It's the fact that they have these examples, they've witnessed the amount of power and strength that these two hold, and yet when it's time to communicate with them or like deal with them, they are handled with the most gentle, soft spirit and touch, and which is why it's so confusing when they make a live action Tarzan in 2016, because to me it felt like they were just movie execs were sitting together in the room and they're like, we're making this Tarzan movie, we have to make sure that he is swole and strong, we have to make the ladies like want him because that's what they want about him. And it's like, that's not what we like about Tarzan. And this point is perfectly illustrated in George of the Jungle when he is at the engagement party and he is playing around with the horse, like shirt open, wind blowing his hair and everything, and the women are just standing by the fence admiring him, oogling over him, but all the men see is that they are looking at the horse. That's not it. It's not it. When I become supreme ruler of this world, I am gonna make men admit to us that it's not that they don't know what we are attracted to. It is that every time we open our mouths to talk about what we are attracted to, they close their ears. Because there's no way you don't get it. There's no way you can't get it after all this time. Anyway, all of this to say, beautiful relationships, beautiful moments. I couldn't possibly say that one is more valid than the other, but the reason why I have a favorite between the two is that I also think that comedy movies just give us way more room to explore romantic relationships than dramatic movies do. Oof. This is not a blanket statement. It does not apply to every single movie that has ever been made. I'm just saying, in this circumstance, the comedic movie just gives us more to work with, more journey for the way that this relationship develops. Obviously, Jane and Tarzan are in love. There's no question about it. But it, like I said earlier, it isn't the most important bit of the story, especially because there are so many dramatic things that occur in his story, from his parents' death to how he is adopted, to how Carla lost her child, to how Kerchak is proper excluding him from the group based on the fact that he is not like them, but never explaining what he means by that. The smuggling of the gorillas plot, the murder of Kerchak eventually, the power vacuum left in the family when he passes away, and how now Tarzan has to ascend to that so he can't even leave to go and meet other people like him. He has to stay. Those are so many heavy dramatic notes going into the story that it is very easy for what him and Jane have to kind of just get lost in the noise. Ursula and George are given time, and they are given these situations to bond. From her rescue to when she takes him to San Francisco, when she introduces him to the modern world, they spend a lot of time just being together, figuring this whole thing out, and also navigating what this could mean for them. And it's hidden behind lots of jokes, it's hidden behind ridiculousness, but it still exists. Like it's still there. It could have very easily been buried under all of this stuff, but it shines through. It actually rises above. And I think that's what makes it so nice also, in the way that Ursula realizes that she's in love with George, because it's quite the realistic thing of, you are doing all of this, you're spending all of this time with this person, you obviously don't have the time to stop and think about what is all of this, until her mother Beatrice says, I know you're in love with him. And she pauses and she's like, oh my god, I am in love with him. I love that moment so much, because that do be how it happens. You find yourself in the midst of it before you can honestly admit it to yourself. And that's kind of the beauty that we get from comedies. A lot of romantic comedies are people just being put in situations and having the time to reach that summit, which is experiencing romantic feeling. George knew that he was in love with Ursula, because when Beatrice confronts him about it, he's kind of like, exactly that, I am in love with her. But he doesn't do anything about it, partly because of the threat, also because we don't know what would have happened if he didn't leave immediately to go save Abe. But I think that's the whole point. But yeah, they admit it to themselves. They are obvious in their feelings, and I think that just makes it easier for me to pick them as the better one. But I will also highlight that the way that Jane realizes is equally beautiful, because like I said, part of both of them At the end of Tarzan, they are both being pulled apart because at the end of the day, one of their core elements is duty to family. He has to stay because now his family needs somebody to take the lead. She has to go because her father is leaving and she cannot leave him alone, like leave him to be. And so when she realizes it, it's not because she says it out loud, it is because her father kind of gives her the pass of, I get it, I'm happy for you, you may go. And so once she is relinquished of that, it becomes easier to then be like, oh, actually, yes, I love him, I have cared for him this whole time. I think the moment where she jumps into the water and like waits to him to kiss him, and when the way he kisses her back, that's cinema to me. I mean, it's completely undercut by the fact that her father also decides to stay, but that's not the point. What I'm saying is that both of these stories present to us equally important romantic arcs. Can I not say arc? And so I cannot put one on a bigger pedestal than the other, but I can acknowledge that one of them handled it better than the other. And I think that is something like winning, but not really. It's time for the likes and dislikes. Likes. I would be remiss if I didn't start off by saying that the soundtrack for Tarzan is one of the greatest soundtracks we've ever had, and that is completely thanks to Phil Collins. Saying it is not even that much of a marvel because I think the internet says this at least every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, there's somebody out there being like, I don't know why Phil Collins went this hard on the soundtrack. Because he could, he saw an opportunity, and he is an artiste. And we thank him for his work. From the opening, the Two Worlds One Family version that plays in the beginning where he narrates this beautiful. The version that plays at the end, beautiful. I don't know what he personally resonated with in the Tarzan story, but that sounded like a man that was writing from his heart. The only thing I specifically just needed for myself, as I mentioned, the Strangers Like Me sequence is very important to me. But the version that plays in the movie has like a cinematic string section that happens before it goes into the final chorus. You cannot stream that. I have to watch the video to hear that. I don't know if this will ever reach Phil Collins, but if you can, sir, please, I need it. I need that version because I'm afraid that the only way I can get it is if Bridgerton covers Strangers Like Me, and I know they won't. I also like, still within Tarzan, I really, really like that they were very intentional about killing the villain. It has been said before, I think, on Las Culturistas, and it was Matt Rogers' rant. He was saying that he doesn't like that in modern Mouse House movies now, there is kind of a villains basically get away with it, or they are not met with the deadly consequences that we used to experience when we watched the Mouse House movies. For example, Ursula gets stabbed through the heart, Scar gets eaten by hyenas, that kind of beat. We're not seeing those kinds of consequences for villains anymore. And I remember Rogers's argument was that if you do not show bad people facing the direct consequences of their actions, children can come to believe that there are no real consequences in the world when people commit evil acts, which makes them either hopeless or reckless. And agreed, it needs to come back. I think if you are scared that your children will see a man get hung by vines, I promise you, if they are handling it the way that they did when they made this movie, they'll be fine. Now, my likes about George of the Jungle. I've talked at length about the humor of it, and I specifically want to reference the fact that a lot of American productions that are set in Africa or about Africa tend to be racist, to say the least. It's very much, we are low hanging fruit for them in those writers' rooms. So you can hear that a story is set in an African country, and you just wait for the jokes to fly, and you just, as an African, you kind of have to just take it on the chin, because what else can you possibly do? So I do appreciate this movie for not reaching that low, which is very funny when you remember this is a very ridiculous, very silly, goofy movie, and even they do not stoop so low. Like, they name the country that they're in, which is Kenya. Well, they don't name Kenya. They say Lyle says he needs to book a place in Nairobi, which, if you have any grasp of geography, you will know that is in Kenya, which is a big step if you consider the time and also like the history of Africa being mentioned in these movies. The fact that they were bringing up the actual country and not just saying the whole continent, huge for us. And also bringing the humor to us. One of the big gags is that Lyle is presenting the stereotype of dumb American tourists, and the beautiful thing about that is that the guides that are with them, the Kenyan guides that are with them, get to be a part of mocking him, and usually it's in the reverse. And so yeah, I'm really grateful that they gave us that. It's small pickings, but again, we have been having it in the West way. I really, really like that the animals are expressive. I know that the gorillas are basically like in huge gorilla suits, so that's why they're like that. But I appreciate that versus if they had put in like a CGI gorilla instead, because something about physically seeing the emotions on the gorillas was very pleasant to me. Even it's not reserved for the gorillas. There's a point where George fights a lion, and the lion cringes because George crashes into a tree, and literally the lion's face like contorts to express the cringe. I don't know if that's animatronics. I don't know if it's a mix of animatronics and CGI. Whatever it is beautiful. I think that the Mouse House should consider doing this the next time that they have to do a live action movie that features animals, because this whole thing of just 3D scanning a real lion and then letting their faces just sit the way they normally do, it's not gonna work, papa. It's not gonna work. Either keep stuff animated or get creative. You can't keep doing this to us. Dislikes. Tarzan has too many montages. Everyone knows how I feel about montages. I think they are lazy filmmaking, but the fact that they have like 3 piss me off. I'm so sorry. Either make a Tarzan movie about his origin story completely and then go to adult Tarzan, or leave it out. And I'm so serious. George's origin story is basically sung in the opening sequence, and then we never refer to it ever again. I think you guys should have done the same thing. Stop it. 3! I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. This is half just a comment that turns into a dislike. So in the original books, I don't think they just have different illustrations for Tarzan. I don't think they ever stuck to like one artist's rendition of what he looks like. So when the movie came about, I'm sure that they had the opportunity to create a whole new person. Now, here's my thing. I will put a picture of them side by side. If you are not watching the video, I urge you to go Google this. I want you to look at Brendan Fraser as George in this movie. And then I want you to look at Tarzan's face in this movie. Tell me that they did not model Tarzan's face after Brendan Fraser. The jaw, the shape of his nose. And you're going to say, Zama, white men look like kind of the same, most of them. Yes, but this is egregious. I'm sorry, this is kind of mad. I said in the beginning that it feels like a lot of elements of Tarzan were bitten from the live action George of the Jungle, and this is my biggest complaint because they are not even trying to hide it. The way that they gave Tarzan dreadlocks, but they're in the same shape and like form as the beachy waves that Brendan Fraser has, which also, by the way, I would like to address the elephant in the room. If a white person did grow up in the jungle, hypothetically speaking, if they grew up in the jungle, they had no access to anything that we know about beauty standards, about hair products, about all that stuff, their hair would not lock to the point where it looks like dreadlocks unless they were physically doing it themselves, which why would they do that? Because again, they have no access to beauty standards, they have no access to grooming. Why would they know how to twist and lock? If you are a white person that is lost in the wild, all that will happen is your hair will grow long and it will probably be as bushy or as like wavy as Brendan Fraser's hair was. And specifically wavy because at some point when he's in San Francisco, they give him a blowout and his hair looks completely different. That makes sense because again, he is now in civilization, his hair has changed. Dreadlocks would not happen. Dreadlocks would not happen. If dreadlocks were to happen, then why didn't the Vikings all have dreadlocks all the time? They didn't. So why the heck? Mind you, this isn't even the dislike that I'm talking about. The dislike that I have in the same light about grooming. These are two men raised in the jungle, no access to anything, have no idea about humans, have no idea about grooming patterns of humans, have never seen a Gillette ad in their lives. Why are they hairless? No facial hair. Mad. No arm hair on either of them. Chest hair, leg hair, bald as a baby. Why? Just because they're in the humidity of Central Africa doesn't mean that body hair doesn't happen. That doesn't make sense. And if you're about to tell me with Tarzan that it would have been too much work to animate individual hairs on him, Clayton has arm hair. It's What's okay? Fine, that's your argument with Tarzan. What's George's excuse? Brendan Fraser is a man. He didn't have to look like that. He probably had arm hair and leg hair. Why would? I've decided to calm down. We are at the end of the show, and it's been a lovely time despite a few crash outs. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching our first official Thank you for watching our first official full YouTube video. It's been great. It's been lovely. If this goes out, then it means I figured out the whole editing thing of adding pictures and whatnot. So I really hope that works. Otherwise, this will just be a video of you watching my face and complimenting my red jumper. Note anything on theme about today? Anyone? Anyway, let's get to the fun part that everybody waits for. It is the Who's Your Fave battle. Savage edition. I was going to say Beast edition, but then I realized that would imply beast things, and that's not what I meant. Because we're discussing basically like women falling in love with wild men, I think savage is a better way to describe it. Also, in making this, I realized that there's not that many. There are lots of movies of women loving men who are in like a monster, beast, savagery kind of state, but they are almost zero of the reverse happening, where a man loves you in your savage monstrosity. in your monstrosity. Until today. Lovers, in today's battle, in this corner, we have the wonderful, the adorable, the Neanderthal, Eve and Guy from Crudes versus the adorable, the creaky, kind of crazy Laura and Monster from Your Monster. And before you come and correct me, yes, his name is just Monster. Like, she keeps just calling him Monster. So I wanted to pick the Crudes because even though both Eve and Guy are cavemen / Neanderthals, Eve is at a less evolved state compared to Guy, and she scares him with like her savagery and like how she still lives very much that Neanderthal lifestyle. And I think that's, so far, if you have other movies or even TV shows where it's a man loving a woman in the middle of her savage or monster era, please do comment below. Please do tell me about them because I would love to see them. This made me realize I don't know where I stand on the are vampires monsters thing, because to me, hear me out, vampires usually still look like people. If the only thing that could scare somebody or a human away from you is that you have a special power about you that makes you a little monstrous, I don't think that's enough to call you a monster. Like, hold on. Hear me out. The fish in the shape of water, that's a monster. Frankenstein's creature in Frankenstein, that's a monster. In his eyes, Eve is kind of a monster to Guy. Vampires are just people. People with superpowers, some of them. I would like to hear your thoughts on this because I did not think about this until I made this episode. So I do want to know, where do you guys stand? Are vampires monsters? Or at least are they magical or weird enough to... Nosferatu, he's a monster. Yes, he's a vampire, but first and foremost, he is a monster. All of this to say, please do vote for your fave and our poll. I will put it up on Twitter and on Instagram and on Tumblr. I think you can still add polls on Spotify. I'll find out if you can add a poll on YouTube. I'm not really certain about that. But yes, please vote. Let your voice be heard. You don't even have to wait to vote. You can just leave a comment, DM us. We are at Starring Cupid on Twitter, at Starring Cupid Podcast on Tumblr, at Starring Cupid on YouTube, and at Zama T-shirts on Instagram because I refuse to make a separate account. All of that being said, thank you so much for being here for our inaugural episode. I almost said inaugural first episode, and then I was like, that is redundant. It's been a journey to get here. I made a mistake in the last video where I said it'd been 2 years since I started the channel. I said I started the channel last year. It had actually been 2 years since I started. That's how in the back of my mind it was. So I am very happy to finally be giving it the airtime and the proper effort that it deserves, and I hope you guys will join us on this journey. Hopefully with more live videos like this, hopefully with less technological issues than before. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. I hope you all have a lovely Valentine's Day, no matter what you are doing, no matter who you're doing it with. I just hope you are having a lovely time, because love is lovely. Yes. Do be sure to subscribe. Do be sure to follow us for updates. Do be sure to take care of yourself and love upon the people around you, because we are all in turbulent times. Some of us more than others, some of us more violent than others, and love and support could go a very long way. And remember, sometimes if you love something, you will protect it by any means necessary. Have a lovely rest of your day. Have a lovely rest of your weekend.